What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So this will be a fairly short video, but I've seen a lot of comments and a lot of videos about the FTX1 that just came out, about how Yaesu's menu structure is so hard to use and Icom's is so easy and so on and so forth. And I do have an FTX1 Optima on order. I don't have it yet. I did pre-order one, but I obviously don't have it yet. But what I have in front of me is I have an IC705 and a Yaesu FTDX10. So we've got an Icom radio and a Yaesu radio, both in what we would consider their modern form. Now, yes, the older Yaesu radios, the menu structures are abysmal. Like my 891 is frustrating to use. But the modern Yaesu radios, the menu structure is actually pretty easy, and it's pretty intuitive. So I'll show you some of the similarities and differences real quick, and you're going to see that it's really not that big a deal to use the Yaesu menu system, like some people think it is. So I'm a CW operator. All right, so one of the things I change all the time is key speed. So I've got my function knob right now set to key speed on this FTDX10. Now I can do the same thing on my 705. I push the multifunction button, I can select the key speed, and now when I turn that knob, you'll notice that I can't just turn the knob though. That changes the tuning. I need to push the knob in and turn it to change my key speed. So there's one more step on the Icom than there is on the Yaesu. The Yaesu is actually easier to use. Oh, don't mind that stupid little smiley face. One of my students was sneaky today. I don't know how she did it, but she drew a smiley face in paint on my hand without me even noticing. She was proud of herself. Anyway, so it's actually one more step on the Icom than it is on the Yaesu. Not a big deal, but it's something to consider. You want to change, if you want to change, let's say, your side tone pitch. All right, I can come in, I click the function button, it opens up the menus. I can change my CW pitch right here. I run 580, so I leave it there and I don't ever mess with it. On the Icom, push, CW pitch, set it to 580. It's kind of a wash, okay? Now, let's suppose, so a lot of times what I will do is I will be running paddles, but I might want to switch to a manual key. So like, let's suppose I want to work an SKCC station and I want to switch from paddles to my bug. All right, so let's see how we do that on these two radios. So let's start with the Icom. So Icom, to get into their menus, we're going to push the menu button, and then I'm going to go into Keyer, and then I'm going to go to Edit, and then I'm going to go to CW key set, and then I'm going to key type. Now I'm not going to select bug, that's not actually bug, but it makes paddles mimic a bug. You would click straight key, then you would back out, all right, or you could hit exit, and you would be ready to go on your straight key. Now let's try that on the Yaesu. So on the Yaesu, if I want to switch from, so right now I'm going to turn the break-in off real quick so I'm not transmitting. So right now I am on, I don't know if you can hear that side toe or not, but I'm on paddles. If I want to switch to a straight key, function, keyer off, done. All right, now I'm on the bug. Want to go back to paddles? Now I turn the break-in on and the keyer on. It's so much easier to change the key settings on the Yaesu. Markedly easier. Like night and day easier. Okay? So for that, now notice when I exit out of this, I lose my scope. On the Yaesu, I don't. Then I got to go back in and hit menu and scope. Okay, I've got my scope again. All right. Other common things that you use all the time. On the Icom, again, we go into menu. You want to see your settings. You can go in and you can change all your different settings from here. Your all your different stuff from in here. In the Yaesu, it's all right there. Again, just touch what you want to change. Now, one of the things that's frustrating is, so like this one drives people nuts, and I'm going to show you how to fix this. I want to change power on this 705. I push the multifunction button, hit RF power, and I can't go above 50% because I'm on external battery, but you can change power real easy. Now people get frustrated on the Yaesu because you have to click function, RF power, and then you can change your RF power. Well, I don't want to go through all those steps because that's a pain in the butt, and I change power on the fly a lot too. You can program these rings to do different things. If I push CS, Now my internal VFO changes my power. So I want to run QRP, boom, I'm 5 watts. When I'm done, spin that back up, I'm back at 100, put CS, now it's a VFO. All right, so again, I'm not saying one's better than the other, right? The Icom is intuitive for the most part. You know, you've got in the menu, you've got icons that show you what the things do, right? It's fairly straightforward and easy to understand, but so is the Yaesu. You want to go into the deep settings, you know, you want to go into like the radio settings themselves, boom, there you are. There's all your different modes, all right, and all the different things you can change, all right? You want to go into the CW settings. Here's all your different CW settings and all the things you can change. All right. One cool thing about the 705 is you can program some of these buttons to do specific things. So I have this Vox break-in button programmed, so if I push it, it will send my CW memory. On the Yaesu, I do have to come into this, whoops. I do have to come into this menu and then go into messages, and then I can play my CW messages from there. All right, but as you can see, it's not complicated. All right, it's just different. It's not any harder. Most of the stuff you need, you hit the function button, everything is there. You want to change your mic gain, there it is. Key speed, there it is. All right, I want to change my break-in delay, there it is. All right, I want to change the color on the screen. All right, pick a color. Right now it's blue. Let's make it orange and red. All right, it's not hard. It's not difficult to use. So I get frustrated when I see people on videos saying, oh, Yaesu's menus are so hard to use. The old radios, that is absolutely the case. These new radios really aren't. If I want to change this meter from, so like over here on my Icom, right now I've got an S meter. If I wanted to see different meters, I could come in here and you know, I can see my ASE and my SWR and all that stuff. I can change that on the Yaesu just by touching that. I can select, you want to see power output? There it is. You want to see ALC? Whoops. Didn't mean to change my filter width. You want to see SWR, which is what I leave it on all the time. Boom, there's SWR. All right. And again, like I said, I can change my filter width. So on the Icom, to change my filter widths, let me go back to the scope. To change my filter widths, I turn this knob here, and I can adjust my filter width, okay? On the Yaesu, I can change my different mechanical filters, all right? So right now I've got it at 500 hertz, and if I want to change my width even more, if you look right here, oops, that's the shift, wrong knob. Grabbed the wrong one. Here's my filter width. So again, super easy to change, all right? Not hard at all. All I'm doing is turning this inner ring here. That changes my filter width. This knob here shifts that tone, all right? So again, not hard. A little bit different, but not difficult to use. So I didn't, this isn't a super informative video. I didn't want to cover a ton of things. I just wanted to show people that, you know, don't be scared of the Yaesu menu systems. You hear all these horror stories about Yaesu menus. And yeah, like I said, you go use like an 857 or an 817 or an 818 or even an 891, they're a nightmare. These modern radios are super easy. Hit the function button, touch what you want to change, done. I went from paddles to straight key, back to paddles again. All right. Like I said, I leave that set to key speed all the time, and whatever you leave that on. So like if I leave that on CW pitch, turning that function knob will change my CW pitch. Like I said, I leave that on CW speed all the time because I change that all the time. Okay, so like I said, this video, I'm not knocking either company as far as how they do things. They're just different. I personally, because I use it so much and I'm so used to it, prefer the way Yaesu does it. I find that in some of the things, while it's prettier on the Icom, I find it's more key presses or knob turns to get to what I want, as where on this radio, it's function button, touch what I want to change. It's not always the case in here. Like I said, if I want to change my key, I can't just change what type of key I'm on. I've got to go into the keyer, edit, key type, you know, all that stuff. It's way too many clicks personally for me But again, that's me. I love the 705. I'm not knocking it. This is a fantastic radio. The 7300 is also, which would, you know, be more comparable to this guy. But again, if you're looking at buying a radio like a 705 or an FTX1 or a 7300 or a you know, if you're looking at like a 7300 from Icom versus a 710 or FTDX10 from Yaesu, don't be scared of the menus on either side. They're easy to use for both manufacturers. All right, neither one of them is difficult. They're both fairly intuitive. They're just a little bit different. So with that being said, everybody, I hope that was helpful. Especially if you're new to this and you hear horror stories about Yaesu's menu structures, that used to be true. It really isn't the case anymore. When I get the FTX1 Optima, you're going to see it on the channel a lot. I'm going to really put it through its paces. I'm going to compare it to the 705 head-to-head. Both radios have strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to compare and contrast. I'm not sure there's going to be a clear winner because they both do different things. They're both similar radios, but they have some different features. So with that being said, everybody, I really do appreciate you watching. If you have any questions about either one of these radios, feel free to drop them in the comments. You know, people are passionate about loving one radio over the other. That's fine. I don't care. I love them both for different reasons. All right. I will say at the end of the day, when it comes to just being a radio, and the most important thing with a radio is the receiver, this Yaesu just smokes this Icom. This Icom's good. This Yaesu is next level when it comes to that stuff. So, all right, everybody. I ran this a little bit longer than I wanted to. We're at 11 minutes and 30 seconds. I wanted to keep this under 10 minutes, but it didn't happen because I talk too much. So with that being said, I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, as always, 7-3. And yes, Savannah, thank you for the smiley face.